Okay, I'm in and I've started recording, not streaming, as you wished.
Yes, so we're going to use this time to go through all the administrative processes that we have to do today, such as getting our character set up, going over some finishing transactions just as reminders. I have some questions regarding the stream later on, and going over how to control the little robot handling our music. For the case of your stream, I would recommend that we maybe don't always include the music, as I'm very sure that YouTube is going to give you some grief over it. I've been looking into it to see the thresholds of like where YouTube will cause troubles. So it looks like it's a little bit arbitrary, especially recently. So to be on the
Yeah.
safe side, I would recommend just muting it altogether.
Yeah, I was sent an actual PC game just came out, and of course they would usually want to show off their best, but they said just mute the music if you're gonna stream it. So it's a big problem.
From what I understand, YouTube's system is fully automated, so it doesn't have any manual review.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. And if it's something YouTube even thinks sounds like a copyrighted song, it will. Well, it doesn't really harm me because all it does is demonetize the video, and I don't monetize my channel anyway. But for people who are making money, it's a big problem.
I was under the impression that even if you don't monetize the video, YouTube still has the right to like completely take it down.
Mine have stayed up. It's just that it marks them as demonetized. And I've been using, well, not me, but GMs on the channel have also been using music bots, and I really haven't had an issue with them, so it could be okay.
Something I don't think we should change, if only because obviously you'd like to access as many people as possible, and dealing with any potential YouTube headaches could make that a frustrating process.
Sure.
I know that I've had quite a few friends of mine who have been like they try to stream games and whatnot, and due to copyright strikes, the video either just gets completely erased from existence, or they have to then go back and do a lot of post editing just to keep it up.
Yeah, you don't want to have to edit a song out of a video. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I'll just mute it then. No big deal.
So in that way, you'll still be able to listen to the music, but the little whatever's recording it won't.
Right, exactly.
I think that sounds doable.
Oh, absolutely. If it's anything like the other bots I know, you can pretty much just adjust the volume down in Discord, and that really takes care of the issue entirely.
Although then would you not be able to hear it?
I probably would not unless I did the volume very low. Then I don't think YouTube would pick up on it, but I would still be able to hear it.
Something to test.
Unfortunately, I don't have any way to tell OBS to ignore audio from a bot on Discord because if I did that, I would also not be able to hear you.
I see, I see. It doesn't know how to choose.
Right, exactly. It just records all of my audio from Discord.
I really like OBS, but it's times like this where it's a little frustrating.
Oh, yeah, it has its moments.
Alright, so now that the server is up and running, you should be able to start character creation. Something I will be curious to know later on, if and when you review this footage, is how well either of us are picked up. I've noticed in quite a few of your streams, either both the DM, yourself, or both of you are really quiet, and it's a little hard to hear you guys without me cranking the volume to max, pretty much. So, something to look into. I can always adjust my sensitivity if we need to, although, from what I understand, you should be able to tell OBS to be more sensitive as well.
Yes, I actually have been working on the volume a little. Previously, there was an issue where I was just muting entirely whenever I would go into OBS to check the stream. I had to work on that a little bit. And I have adjusted volume since. My audio capture, which is to say your voice, is all the way up. It can't go any higher. For me, it's a little bit
Okay.
lower because I'm right next to the microphone and I don't want to, be too loud.
No, of course.
And let's see, setting up character. Give myself a good dwarven name.
So something that you've probably noticed by now is the background for this is a little finicky. I would recommend setting your UI settings to 110, I think is the one we're currently running, which should make the picture fill up your whole screen without any of those weird blurred out lines in the edges. If
Uh,
it doesn't, 120 should. But I think this is the 110 version.
I have it set up in OBS with the overlay, and it actually looks really nice. I can read everything very clearly, so it should be good.
No, I mean like the map of the background in Fantasy Grounds.
Yeah, like the water deep and so forth.
Yes. So you should see up to Nightstone
I sure
in
do.
the very bottom right. Perfect. Okay. Just double check. Unfortunately, the way this one works, it only works at one scale. You can't configure it to more than one UI scale at a time because of just the way that Fantasy Grounds handles UI scaling. So once I pick something, it has to be consistent throughout everyone else.
Sure, sure. No problem. Out of curiosity, in your library under classes, all I see is new class. Did I make a mistake and not load the basics here?
You probably haven't loaded in any of the modules, or if you
Oh,
have,
yeah.
not from this instance.
Yeah, it's this instance. Sorry.
No worries.
Screwed me up when my doctor called just as I was about to say, okay, let's stream.
I'm sure they're known for their not amazing timing.
Yeah, my doctor at the university is leaving, and that will be doctor number 10 at the university.
Why do you not find a practitioner outside of the school?
Well, it's partly because my insurance will pay for going to the university, and partly because I have such a rare disability that you're really only going to find a doctor who knows about it in a university setting.
Surely they're specialists trained in this field?
Well, in pain management, yes, but you want to go somewhere respectable for that in the U.S. because they watch pain management very closely because, of course, they're dealing in controlled substances and things like that. And the universities, they don't give as much trouble. I know it's backwards, but it's it's how it has to be done.
The US is a very strange place.
Yeah, medical care, they don't want us to be healthy, I think. I don't know. Okay, now we've got everything loaded. Let's see if that's better. Yep, there are our classes.
So I recommend clicking and dragging the classes into the character sheet, not just
Yeah,
editing the level number, since
yeah,
editing the level number will not prompt the system to automatically fill in some of your abilities, whereas clicking and dragging will.
agreed. Let's see. Okay, one issue, we do not have forged domain on the setup list.
Yeah, it is here. It's just in, you need to select the correct source. So here, I'll find it for you.
It's my first time setting up a cleric, so uh, some things
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
the forge domain is not part of the PHP, so clicking the cleric in PHP is not going to help you in this case. When you go to classes and you look, see there are multiple entries for cleric, we're going to be looking for Xanthar's Guide to Everything. And then when you scroll to the very bottom, you will see there's the forge domain as a link. Regardless, if you start dragging over levels of cleric, specifically I think either one or two more, it will automatically prompt you to select your domain.
Oh yes, it did. We got forged just fine that time. And we're all set up to level 3. Race. Be a dwarf, of course.
Yeah, so you can drag it over just like you have everything else.
Sorry, I was just doing a little sub race reading there.
No worries.
And for background, I kind of like Inheritor. I don't know if you're okay with that one or not.
It should be more than fine.
Okay. Alright, so that takes us to abilities. Do you use rolls or standard array?
We use point buy.
Alright.
Hello, hello.
Yes.
Hi, it's Kurt here. I'm just going to
Hi.
be zipping back and forth for a little bit, so I apologize if
No worries.
it's distracting.
No problem. I'll actually, Rebecca, if you like, take your advice on this one because this is a cleric who kind of does double duty. They're using their magic, of course, but they're very much a front lines fighter. What do you think for attributes?
Um, I think it's important to choose something that you will feel you'll be successful in. So, for example, a wizard is probably not going to be successful with all of their points in strength. Similarly speaking, the cleric is probably most successful with strength and wisdom being the prioritized stats.
Okay. Um, there we go. I think that looks fairly reasonable. Don't see her being very nimble, but she's got some kick and she's got her wisdom.
Yep, looks good to me.
Rebecca, I'm sorry. Current characters are level 1, correct?
We have decided to go to level 3, if only so that you will have better survival odds. I have uploaded Casimir into the server, but you may need to double check to make sure everything came over properly.
I was doing just that. That's why I was asking about the level, because I thought maybe we didn't change it back to level 1. Yeah, everything looks good on my end, I believe.
All right.
I'm just working on my inventory, but what do you think about her inheritance item very appropriately being her Warhammer?
Sounds good to me.
Alright, that might have something special to it. That's up to you.
I will need to quickly reread on how Inheritor works, but give me a few minutes on that one.
Sure. Long story short, there's something about it that people would kill you for, so it's got a good story element. Just trying to find where the inventory system is hiding holy symbol. I got holy water.
I have it. What kind of holy symbol?
It would be as in deity, you mean?
Oh, I see. There's just only one type. There you go.
Alright, that takes care of her equipment.
So when you're adding in your spells, use the spells that have the source 5e effects coding, not whatever the book they come from is.
Sure, no problem.
I've added in your dwarf abilities, cleric domain spells, and cleric abilities already.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca, for transferring all Casimir stuff over.
No worries.
And hi, by the way, Derek. How are you doing? If he's here.
My name's Ray.
Oh, Ray. Sorry. Why did I think Derek? Ray. Sorry. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Yeah, feel free, Ray, Cart, Casimir, whatever you like.
I'll probably remember you as Casimir, but I'll try and remember Ray.
I've adjusted my name in Discord.
Okay.
I accidentally put that spell under dwarf abilities. I was a little high. I meant to put it under spells.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
I was getting all frustrated trying to figure out why I couldn't move the map around, then I realized you have it as the backdrop.
Yeah.
There is a linked one in the notes, though, for the full map.
I did notice that.
I thought it would be better than the usual white background that is often put.
So with the typical start time of this campaign, it would normally start roughly an hour ago, correct?
Yes.
Right. We're not streaming today. I'm just recording. This is just a setup session.
All right.
tough when you've only got those two spells from one level and you can't decide on that last one. Okay, good to go for spells. That just leaves, if you'd like me to fill in the notes, I can, or we can wait on that.
No, feel free to do that now. Things like your personality traits and stuff should be filled in. Also, choosing a character for yourself would be good.
I'm not sure what you mean. I see myself up in the top left.
No, so if you double click your left-handed portrait, you'll be able to choose a picture for it.
Oh right, I DM'd you a picture for her, but I don't.
Yeah. The problem is that it is extremely low resolution, so it comes out super blurry.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. Okay, I'll have
You
to
can try
browse.
uploading it from your end, or you can choose from one of the ones already available. So, in the voice channel is also now the little robot handling the music, quarterly known as Redbot. So, to give you a quick overview on how he works, he is similar to most other audio bots. He is self-hosted, meaning that as long as I am online and running him, so too is he. Should I stop running him, disconnecting the internet, or stop hosting him, he will no longer be accessible. So really only for use during your games. He has many commands, the most important of which pertaining to his ability to play music though. So he has his own little channel accessible only to him specifically so that I can give him instructions. But I will let you know if there's something that you need to be able to access with him. I can certainly give him the command. For the most part, though, his main purpose is to play music. So when prompted, he will play tracks based on the logo files I've given him. So the volume for the bot is controlled in two ways. The first is the master volume that I can control, so I can give it a percentage value. In this case, this is 40%. I will bring it down to 20.
But I won't. Some look for trouble, while others don't.
As you can see, the bot got a little quieter. So you can actually also personally control the bot's volume by right-clicking its name and using the user volume up or down as you see fit.
You're not a voice, you're just a ringing in my ear. And if I hurt you, which I don't, I'm spoken for, I fear.
So when I change the global volume, it will change the volume for everyone listening to the bot. However, when you change the user volume, this volume is only for yourself. So whether it's louder or softer is only for you to hear.
I follow you.
So this is just my generic like elevator music. But for the most part, we'll be using background music, which will sound a little bit more like this.
Every day's a little harder as I feel my power grow. Don't you know there's part of me that longs to go into the unknown, into the unknown.
So not obtrusive enough, so it shouldn't be too distracting, but certainly still sets the tone of the scenario. Feel free to correct the volume as you see fit. But with the volume mostly handled now, I think we should quickly go over a few things with Fantasy Grounds as you're done character creation.
If there's anything you'd like to discuss while I'm filling out the details, feel free.
I will let you finish filling everything out first. Take your time. I think it's important to have all of this easily accessible should you need it.
If you're needing more information for my character, DM Rebecca, please let me know.
Looking through your background, everything looks good to go. For Casimir, that is. I hope I am saying that correctly, but please stop me if I'm not.
Yeah, it's not Casimir or Kashmir, but Casimir. But I'm used to people mispronouncing that version, so it's okay. A Casimir or Kaz would work.
I will endeavor to pronounce that correctly. So it is Casimir, then, yes?
Yeah. If normally when people say it, they put the emphasis or the inflection on the first syllable. If you want to be totally tabaxi about it, you could do it on the third syllable and trill the R, so it'd be Casimir. But you're fine with Casimir. That's good.
So you were pretty stubborn there. And that happened.
As much as I would love to, I don't think my vocal cords are going to cooperate that well.
But maybe. I don't
When I
know.
created his name, I wanted something with a bit of a purr to it,
I don't intend to
sort of
hear you,
reflecting
George.
the Tabaxi heritage.
No, that makes sense.
Certainty. Okay, we've got notes filled out.
Amazing.
If you'd like to read them, you can, or otherwise can move
I
on.
have already been doing so. I've been reading them
Oh,
as you're typing them.
oh, all right. I hope you like it then.
Alright, so now that that has been filled out, we can go over a few things about Fantasy Grounds. Obviously, Cartographer is well aware of all of this, but reminders are always prudent. So first and foremost, your key resource, besides the website, is going to be in your notes section. So if you go to notes, you will find that I have already uploaded quite a few reference points that should allow you to look up things on the fly as you need them. Now, something I am curious about, as I'm not sure if Fantasy Grounds, yeah, will let you do this. I will be making them public. Just give me a second. Is that I don't know if it will let you display the text bubbles yourself, or if only I can prompt them into the chat box. Something to check. Okay, so they should all be visible now. So the first one is active quests. So this is where I'm going to be leaving a list of all of the quests that you currently are in the process of completing. Once you have completed quests, I will be putting them in your what do they call it? Your party sheet to show that they've been finished. But you can at least have a reference point to which things that you are currently doing, and if there are quests that are for like one individual or whatnot, I will still put them here as long as they're not secret, so that everyone can benefit from the knowledge.
Sure. I see the name of the quest. Should I be able to open it for more details, or just not yet?
Yeah, so you can click the red dragon, and it should bring up the actual quest sheet.
Yeah, that.
No, you are wrong. Oh,
Uh,
wait. No, you're right. Sorry.
no, it wasn't doing it. Now it is. I don't know why.
It might take a few seconds to process the first time you open anything. I know that Fantasy Grounds is a little bit finicky in this regard, especially with maps. Speaking of which, actually, I should mention this now. A lot of the maps that we're going to be using are going to be from the actual module, so they shouldn't take too long to load. Occasionally, however, there are maps that are not included in the module that I've just sort of thrown in. These maps, due to the fact that I am, as it seems, incapable of making things too low quality, do take a while to load. So if you were noticing the map is gray and it looks like you can't see it, just give it a few minutes of loading time before you prompt with any problems, at which point we can troubleshoot from there.
Sure, and just so you know, during the streams with the map this large, I'm probably gonna have to zoom in and move around a little bit to find what you're indicating.
Oh, of course. I fully expect that you'll need to do so regardless. Um, so after active quests, we have a cheat sheet for actions. This is mostly for anyone who is a little bit unfamiliar with 5th edition. So it goes over how each action is executed as per the PHP. So in theory, hopefully, you should be able to click any one of these chat bubbles and have this text display in the chat window. Yeah,
There
like
you
that.
go.
So this is mostly so that you can quote these things should they come up in game. There is also a combat actions cheat sheet as seen here. This is again another reference for those who require it.
Very cool.
I am a firm believer in keeping things as easy as possible for people trying to look things up. So the next cheat sheet in the same sort of vein is for conditions. So each condition actually does have its own effect that goes with it, although I can't link that. I don't think I'm working on finding that out. However, all the conditions are here and quotable, so should you have any questions during game, I know that this is probably going to be the most used sheet that we have, uh, if just by sheer fact of the fact that it is like the conditions can be very confusing sometimes, and you'll need to reread the text often, I find. So after this is a small cheat sheet on Fantasy Grounds Unity actions. I have also made these quotable just so that it's easier to reference if anyone has questions. If anything, this will empower both of you to answer each other's questions and not just myself. So to go over what I have included, I will probably add to this sheet as we come across more things that you may find useful. But when you're on a map, you can click a party member's token, and you will be able to view the map through their eyes. We will have to test this shortly to make sure it's working properly. If not, I will just tinker with a few settings until it does. The second and most obvious is that when you're trying to target a token, holding down the control key and using your left mouse button will target that token. You can view your current map by by double-clicking the right-sided token on your character sheet. Your hotbar on the bottom can be used to pin various links, and you can use the hotbar actions quickly by using the function keys on your keyboard. Holding Shift or Control will bring up row 2 and row 3 of this hotbar. So it's not just links that you can throw in here, you can put dice in here. Really anything that you can click and hold can be added to the hotbar for further use. So a good example is that on my hotbar, as a player, I like to put things like perception check, initiative, my character sheet, the combat tracker, things I will be bringing up often. As we have learned from our previous session, the language select drop-down menu, which is just above the chat typing bar, can be used to change your language to any language that you currently speak. And if you speak the language, you'll be able to see the text translated. Similarly speaking, you should also be able to if you select the language, so for example, when you click chat bubbles, oh no, it doesn't, okay. In my case, it pops up a story. Moving on. So for rolling dice, you can click and drag your dice in 3 places. The first is going to be on the actual board where the map is. This will only display the dice result for you, and no chat result will happen. You can display them in the chat box, so when you roll them there, everyone, including myself and yourself, can see the result. Or you can use the dice tower, which is currently in the bottom right of your board. This, however, can be moved as you see fit. And this is going to show only myself the result. Not even you will know what's said. So this is good for secret rolls. So as far as some common chat commands, you can use the help command to list all of the ones that you have access to. But generally speaking, save will save your character data to the cloud. Scale UI will change the UI of the entire Fantasy Grounds system. Export character and then using the name will make a local file of your character. I don't know if players can use this function, but I guess we'll find out. Console will bring up the error log. If you're having problems, especially with Fantasy Grounds, this console menu is probably the single most useful piece of information that you can give me. So if you can take the log, throw it in a text document and send it to me, I can review it and explain where the problem is occurring. Because, well, some people may not know all the things it is displaying. I am familiar with its many errors. So as I'm sure is similar in Roll20, you can use equations to create dice rolls. So the examples I provided are that you can put in /roll 1d6 to roll 1d6, or /roll 2d6 plus 4, and this will roll 2d6 and then add 4 to the result. It does respect common math operators, and I have yet to test it, but it should also understand brackets. But it tends to treat any roll you make as though it were always in brackets to begin with. And then there is an explanation on whispers, so you can whisper a character by putting their name and then your message. You can also right-click their little portrait in the top left-hand corner, and you can choose the option whisper to pre-fill out this first portion. And then use the reply to send back a message to the last person who messaged you. So to whisper myself, the command here is whisper GM, which I'll be including in this cheat sheet now. But please take a second to try this out to make sure that you can send private messages to myself through this.
I had to whisper GM and then the message.
Yeah. So this should all be very useful functionality for anyone trying to use this system. So the next cheat sheet is a link of potions.
Always handy for when I'm not doing my job as a cleric.
I think potions are necessary no matter which class you are.
And
So this includes the spell links. So you can simply drag any of these red dragon icons into your sheet, and they will create a spell that has the potion's effect. So useful for when you're trying to quickly access certain potions to use their effects. Because I know we had this problem in the last game where everyone would collectively forget which potion did what when. You'll notice that I have also edited the description a little bit for the potion notes, in that in this game, potions are a bonus action, not a full action, since I don't think it's fair to players to have to spend their entire turn just drinking down a little red vial.
very
The
reasonable to
last,
me.
the last of the links is a link to the full map. Now, obviously, you guys will not see all the things that I am seeing on it, but it is viewable for you in order to access. So, something that I have not implemented, or maybe it did, When you logged into the server for the first time, did you see any kind of greeting message?
No, I did not.
Okay, so this is something that I guess did not transfer over. I will add this in. So, something that we are going to be loading in is called Message of the Day. And the idea behind this extension, once I have it loaded, is that it will allow you to see a greeting message pop up as soon as you log into the server. We're actually going to practice this in a few seconds, just because I want to make sure it pops up properly for you. In this message, I'm going to include any relevant information for the start of the session. So, like letting us know what session we're on, or any other quick key points that I think are useful. So this is something that will pop up at the beginning of every session and will be changed every session. Um, so you may want to, like, when you first log into this server, Fantasy Grounds gives you its own pop-up, like giving you sort of a quick start. You can check the box to turn these sort of messages off, just to stop yourself from getting too many pop-ups at once.
So would you like me to leave the server and then come back?
Yeah, just give me a couple seconds. I'm just
It might be good for Casimir to test it so that I don't interrupt the recording.
Sure, I can do that.
in this case, we will test this a little later then, just because if we don't want to interrupt things, we will try this at a later date. So now that we have gone over a few common Fantasy Grounds actions, something else that we will quickly go over is a little bit about this campaign. For those of us unaware, Storm King's Thunder is a story-based exploration campaign. What this essentially means is that you'll be spending quite a bit of time traveling, but that there is a story behind your travels. So if you, like, obviously, if there are places that you particularly would like to go, letting me know ahead of time allows me to prepare them in advance so that I have everything set up for when you visit. So at the end of each session, as we get into the exploration phase, I will be asking where you will be projecting to head to, just so that we can plan ahead our travels a little bit. Obviously, some things cannot be planned.
But that way we're not catching you fully off guard, giving you a little time to think about it maybe.
To begin our adventure next week, we're going to be starting from the city of Waterdeep and traveling to the small town of Nightstone, where we will be beginning our adventure. Um, we will be going through all the things that happen there, and then we will continue on as the plot takes us to any and all destinations. Um, so, just to give you a general trajectory of how the next couple sessions will go, next week we'll probably either start or uh, either be in the middle of or finish Nightstone. Then session 2 we'll probably be finishing up all of the Nightstone things, and dealing with the second sort of, I guess, large encounter. And then session 3, it will be dependent on how session 2 goes. Generally speaking, though, this is a very large and open world, and as it is the Forgotten Realms, and this is the Sword Coast, magic is prevalent in this area, so take with that what you will. Obviously, you can find all different kinds of races in all different kinds of places in this large Sword Coast map. However, there are some places where certain races are more prevalent. For example, the Ardeep Forest is primarily home to elves. And for example, town of Golden Fields and the surrounding area are generally settled by humans, halflings, and other such races. So, not every place is going to have a map associated with it. So when we get to places like this, I will mostly be using maps that are more like just general encounter maps. So I will give you a few examples.
Just out of curiosity, as you do that, I was trying out the export command. It just gives you a list of commands that you can do, so that might be a GM only thing.
Yeah, so it seems that that feature might be locked now. I don't think it was before, but I guess with the recent update, they have kept that to GM only, which is fine. That just means that if you need copies of your character, I will be sure to provide them.
Sure, I like this one written up, so if I would like to use it for a later campaign, it would be nice to have.
I will be sure to export it accordingly.
Thank you.
So I have put you both into the party sheet. I don't know if you can see yourself. Feel free to double check. You may also be able to view each other's inventory, although I don't know if, again, it will let you do this.
I can see both of us, but I don't think I can view his inventory.
On the second screen, there are 4 windows that pop up right
Oh,
in
right.
the bottom right. So, for example, if you scroll through, I can see that you have a dagger where I have a drum. And if we both have something like the mess kit, it indicates the total number in the party as well as who has how many of each.
Oh, yeah.
So where some DMs like to keep the players secret, most of this information will be available on the website, so I don't see the purpose of not allowing you guys to see who's in your party.
At times, Fantasy Grounds throws me off a little because the tabs, when you don't have them selected, they're very dim, easy to miss. Just me, maybe?
I think most people find this. Oh, that is... So something that I have now discovered is that the most recent update, the locked tokens feature has made its return.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I have a GM who still uses Classic, and he only plays with that.
Magda, when I roll a die, can you see what color it is?
No, it's just shadow in the background of the chat.
I
Gotcha.
see that it is orangey.
Thanks.
I can't see what you rolled, though.
So something that you should be able to do is that um, now that you can hopefully see this map, you can put it in the background by using the top uh, right-hand corner controls. In this case, the arrow pointing to the top right-hand corner. This will allow you to put maps in the background so that windows will open on top of it, making it easier to navigate when playing. So hopefully you'll be able to see the map that you have both been placed on.
Sure can.
You can use the sample that I have added into it to test out any of the abilities that you have to ensure that you understand how they work and what they do. I would be taking this time to try all of your skills at least once, just to make sure that you understand how they execute in combat so that you are better prepared to use them.
When I look at the different modules, DM Rebecca, some of them have what appears to be like a starfish or a web in the bottom corner of the book. What does that mean?
I do not know, but I don't think it's of any real significance, one way or the other, as my modules do not have this starfish.
Okay. Maybe it means it's attached to you.
Most likely.
Alright, one thing I've noticed, if I control and left click on the enemy and then I cast Sacred Flame, it is casting it at myself.
So you can use the combat tracker to check what you're targeting. In this case, you're only targeting yourself. Because control left click is a toggle. So the first time you click it, it targets. The second time you click it, it turns it off. There you go.
Well, I failed, but much better than burning myself. Works.
Actually, that is not indicating of a failure. It's indicating that the save that
Oh
the
yeah.
enemy has had to make has failed. In this case, meaning a success for you.
Yep. Reading too quickly. There we are. I think that about covers testing my actions, though.
And you've tried your channel divinity?
Yes, I used Artisan's Blessing earlier.
Perfect. So, a few key notes on this campaign, just as a general getting started. So, obviously, this campaign is going to be primarily comprised of giants. Giants are, of course, very large, very old creatures. They're very strong. So, generally speaking, even as level 3 adventurers like yourselves, you may find that giants are a little bit too tough an enemy for you to fight outright in the beginning. In this case, I would recommend thinking closely about how best to approach situations where giants are involved to ensure a chance of success. especially considering that giants are a lot bigger than you. So, in the beginning, it may be best to think tactically about how you will implement your strategies to best take advantage of each other.
Should
So,
be.
this will be a milestone leveled campaign, meaning that as you progress through it, I will not be awarding experience. Rather, when I feel you have met the next milestone in the list, we will then level up. Well, most people consider milestone leveling to be. I do not want to know what that skill was. Um,
Ultima weapon, a video game reference.
oh, I'm aware of what he's referencing. Um, so, um, in this case, milestone leveling is a good, I think, substitute for experience points, as it allows me to award you experience not just for like what the book determines experience points should be awarded for, but for like clever uses of roleplay, good use of dialogue, and other such uncommon actions.
Should be interesting because dwarves and giants have something of a history, and I might not always make the wisest choice.
Speaking of giant history, I have spent the last month poring over various texts regarding giant history. I have mostly been using the second edition iteration of this history, which does not mention the history of dwarves and giants, but does mention the history of giants and small folk, which is anyone of a humanoid shape or size, and giants. So I will be trying to infuse this history in the campaign. That you should be able to learn more about giants as we progress through, and find um, new details about them. Giants are obviously a very diverse race with their own system of language, culture, and history. They have their own traditions, their own monetary system, and their own societies, although these societies may not always exist at the present time.
Do you,
Uh,
do,
so,
sorry to interrupt. Do you want to know a fun reference that might help you with your history research?
sure.
There is a magical quality on items, or can be on items, called Dwarven Thrower, and it obviously makes it a thrown weapon, and it does extra damage to giants. Eh,
Yes. So this is not, I don't believe, a magical quality. This is actually a quality specific to a certain magic item.
You are correct.
You will find that I have done quite a bit of in-depth research on this and can answer most questions. So moving forward, so obviously, giant society is complex. So something to consider as we move through this campaign is that not all giants will be the same. So, for example, you may have one cloud giant act one way, but another act in a different manner.
So your preference is generally to not apply the blanket alignment that might be assigned to a particular type of giant.
Yeah, so I would say that you should treat giants as the sentient race that they are. Just as not all humans are exactly the same, not all dwarves are exactly the same, not all giants are exactly the same.
Sure, absolutely. But all trouble if you ask me. Speak and step on things.
So, as we progress, you will learn more about this world and its inhabitants. So, I would strongly recommend taking notes, as trying to remember all of the various details of this campaign may be a little difficult. Obviously, I will be including session summaries on the website, should give you the broad strokes of what has happened in the last session to catch anyone up who may have missed that session or would like a refresher. As well, there are various factions in this setting that you may wish to be a part of. If this is the case, we will go over that as we continue. So, a warning that the book specifically would like me to remind you of is that many of the encounters in this adventure are deadly by design. They test your ability to make smart, informed decisions under pressure. And deadly encounters might be the only encounter you have on a given day, assuming, any kind of uh, circumstance. However, giants are not indiscriminate in their attacks. And so, where some creatures may simply kill you outright, giants, as sentient beings, may decide that capturing you is more important than killing you. This is something to keep in mind as you decide to size up each foe and how you will approach it. Giants, of course, are, well, giant, meaning that when you are encountering them, they will have items and abilities and weapons that are sized for them, not for you. In this case, for example, a single Astorian or giant coin is probably about the size of a dinner plate. There are obviously lots of giant weapons and such that are also giant sized. I will try to indicate uh, things that are of a certain size when we see them. Speaking of which, most of the maps in this adventure are, well, at least some of them are sized to be used by giants, meaning that in certain places, the grid will be 1 square for 10 feet, which fantasy grounds will break down into 1 square per 5 feet for you, versus any other metric.
It's actually something I was curious about because I have purchased this module myself but not actually used it. When I was Googling, I had seen some complaints about the quality of the maps when it involved giants. Do you have that experience as well?
Generally speaking, I find the maps to be a little bit on the fuzzy side, but the amount of work it would take for me to completely redo these maps is more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, sure. I was just curious, if I should run this myself in the future at some point.
I think that is up to each individual DM. You will notice a distinct difference, however, between maps that I have created and maps that are included in the adventure. So you should be able to see the map that I have put forth and the tiny square that I have highlighted for you to view.
My screen just went entirely black, actually.
Okay. Let me put your little pieces on it then. So here is an example of a section of a map. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what or where this is. Simply that it exists for you to kind of get a sense of how these maps will look.
When the tokens appear as sort of between squares rather than directly within them, do you
You
consider...
can simply move them onto the correct square.
Okay. I was wondering if you considered it like a half step or something.
No, it's just where it places you.
Okay.
So as you can see, while the map is a little bit fuzzy, when zoomed out, the details are still visible.
And it's not too bad zoomed in. You can tell what you're looking at. Did you make this practice map with the flower?
No, this one is part of a very, very, very large set of maps that I use as generic ones. I can, however, display a map that I have created. It will take a second for me to...
Could you please reshare the most recent map, the one that was all black for me? I tried to reload Fantasy Grounds, but I'm still having trouble.
Oh no, I made it black again, but I can take a
Um,
Okay,
second.
no worries.
you might have to zoom out and then shift where you're focusing. At first I couldn't see it, but when you zoom out you can, because...
No, you should be unable to see it at this point as I've stopped sharing the record.
Oh yes, I mean when it was open, at first
Yeah,
all
when
I
it's
could
open.
see was... Yeah, at first all I could see was black, but when I zoomed out, yeah, then I could see the portion we can see.
I see it now. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, so unlike Roll20, Fantasy Grounds does not have any restrictions on the limits of things it will allow me to access. So I can make files as high quality as I would like, with no troubles. The downside is, of course, that it means that when I am loading in maps, I tend to make them a little too big.
Now, I notice in your library, DM Rebecca, there is an investigator button.
Yes, we are going to go over that shortly. I will place you on a map to do so.
I'm curious, what do what do you use to make your maps?
I use Dungeon Draft. I think it is the easiest program to do what I am looking for. It has the most amount of features.
Cool.
So this is the map we'll be using for our introduction.
I believe it might still be loading in. At this point, I'm still seeing just a gray grid with our tokens.
It may take a second to show up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the same point. I'm guessing it's just because the map's so large.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking from the scale of our tokens.
Right. So investigator. So there are two buttons that are going to be immediately useful to investigator and world builder. So world builder allows you to see notes on places and um, eh, adding in information that could be useful.
Oh, and I do have the map now, by the way.
Yes, ditto.
Which looks very nice. Kudos to you.
Thank you. So you'll be able to see that in the world builder section, there is a entry for Nightstone. It should be able to display various statistics about the city, explaining that it is a town populated by humans, halflings, and half-elves, its primary language being common, and a major NPC being Velrose and Nandar. There is a section that should allow you guys to edit the notes for this area, putting in any other additional features you'd like to put in. Similarly, in Investigator, Investigator is the complement to a world builder, except in this case, entries include multiple things. So mostly NPCs. So in this case, Valrosa Nandar is a NPC. We can also display her information to the chat box for any notes that you guys may take.
Okay, so I don't know if it's because of the change of font or whatnot, but I see, like, for example, when you had Nightstone, I have hashtag description, and then I don't see anything. Then I see hashtag discussion, then PC notes, but that's all I see.
Yes, so I'll fill those in with text so that you can see how it works.
And public stats on the other tab is where we would put our own notes about the location.
So a PC notes is where you'll put notes on the location. Public stats are things like how many half-elves are in this town. So I'll try and fill one out as well.
There's like a little pencil right by PC notes, Casimir, and that we can edit. And there, I added a note just as a test.
So this is a good way to quickly organize the information about certain places and things.
And will probably come very much in handy given how large this particular setting is for this module.
Exactly. Do feel free to use the actual notes section to keep detailed notes either in Fantasy Grounds or on your own systems to keep track of where everything is and how it all works. So now that we have learned a bit about Fantasy Grounds, how to implement its various features, and some of the additional things I have included in it, did anyone have any questions I can answer?
No, I feel pretty good about it myself.
Yeah, I think I'm good right now too.
Sounds good. So with that, I think we can wrap up our session 0. As mentioned, I will be putting all payments towards session 1 for anyone who has paid early. If not, I will be keeping meticulous bookkeeping.
Thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you very much, Rebecca.
I hope that you were able to find some value in our session 0, and were able to learn something new before we get started next week.
I'm looking forward to it.
I will be in touch, JT, regarding the streaming portion throughout the week, just with some questions on its setup and how it displays and whatnot.
Sure, and on a character note, you might want to think about the inheritor thing.
Yes,
I'm
I
leaving
will
it to
be.
you.
As well, if I could ask a small favor of both of you, if you could please provide me a small, like maybe 1 or 2 sentence description of your character to include in the website for those of us who would be viewing it, I would greatly appreciate it.
This is what another adventurer would see upon meeting us.
Yes.
If you would like to take it down, I have written something in my appearance section for my notes.
Yes, I am seeing that. However, I believe it is a little on the long side for what I can include in a website format.
Feel free to trim it down to whatever you prefer. I've not used your website before for this, so I'm not familiar.
No worries. I will see what I can do. If anyone has anything they would like to discuss over the week, please feel free to message me. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can, although there is a good chance I will be sleeping at any given time. And generally speaking, you will not receive replies on Saturdays, as there's simply no time.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thanks.
Right, with that, I will bid you both a good day.
Okay, take care. Bye, JT.
Bye bye. You guys have a great day.
You too.